Okay, this is why you should be using Creative Cloud, Lightroom, and Photoshop. About an hour ago, Lightroom Creative Cloud updated support for the Nikon D850. I've been out shooting today some with the Nikon D850. A couple important points that people are starting to realize, which I stated like 2 weeks ago or so. Actually, I stated earlier than that. Anyway, that the D850 has absolutely no issues whatsoever. Contrary, and that's actually what ticks me off, is that the person that was saying this is someone that is heralded by everybody. It's like, well, this guy writes books on Nikon. They're how-to books. Like, this is how you turn your Nikon on. This is how. It's like, is that person somebody? I mean, they know what the hell they're talking about? That sounds like something that Nikon would tell people. It's like, this is a new high megapixel camera. You should get some of the new stuff. Ultimate corner-to-corner lack chromatic aberration. Get the most juice out of your Nikon D850 as far as resolution. I mean, if we went off the logic of, that sort of BS talk, then there's only like a dozen lenses that you should use on your Nikon D850 because they're really sharp. Is it sharp? Is it sharp? Absolute BS. Been testing third-party lenses too. I've tested a lot of third-party lenses. I posted up quite a lot of images from the Tamron 7200 G2. It's also using the Nikkor new 7200 FL. Everything works perfectly fine. I tested over 20 lenses now on the Nikon D850. As the Taiwanese site confirms, while this does look, and it is made in Thailand, I got a low serial number on my D850, by the way. It's under 800. That's under 1,000, yeah. The Taiwanese site confirms, well, this does look like, here's another plastic wonder box from Nikon. And it does look like that. When I first got it in my hands, I knew that was not the case. That's the reason why the flappy mirror, the reflex mirror, and the shutter max sound so loud in this, is that this camera, underneath the hood, is built like a flagship Nikon camera. Let me be really explicit. There's something that nobody else has mentioned at all, and I'll be the first person to mention it, and I am correct in stating this, is that the Nikon D850 here in my hands, well, it does not is not presented by Nikon to be a flagship camera. The build quality, I've seen the complete teardown. I'd like to tear down one myself. I don't want to tear down mine, honestly, unless it actually needed a repair. Do you know how many different types of screws are in a Nikon and how many different lengths and types of screws there are in a Nikon? You actually have to cordon them off and where they came from. There are, anyway. The build quality on the Nikon D850 is flagship level build quality. Now, flagship level Nikons obviously have integrated vertical grips. D3, D3S, D4, D4S, Nikon D5. Loser. And this one certainly does not. However, the camera is a flagship quality camera. They also made the design more modular for repairs. I mean, professional users are going to wear the crap out of their shutter mech. And while it is rated for 200,000 clicks, it can certainly go a lot longer than that, or shorter than that if you abuse it. And I've told you why shutter mechs fail early, 9 times out of 10. They've made the replacement because you have to take the whole camera apart on DSLRs to reach the shutter mechanism. They made the camera very modular and easy to fix as far as like replacing the shutter mech. Front plate magnesium, shutter assembly plate magnesium. The entire central chassis of the Nikon D850 is magnesium. Most people don't know it when they look at the camera. They think it's just one piece. Actually, it's modular. There's sections. There's a center section, like as I showed you before. This is a Nikon D500. Most Nikons, D750, D500, D810, D800E, blah, blah, blah. They're all like this. Carbon fiber, mostly polycarbonate. Plastic. It's great for removing flexure between the actual focal plane and the sensor. So that's the important point, too, additionally, that no one's mentioned, is that this camera, it really is actually an incredible value for $3,300. That's not my opinion. It's a fact. We have a flagship level. Let's just compare this damn camera to the Nikon D5, if you will, which I've said was a loser since day one, which everybody gave me hell for, but which I'm totally vindicated on. That camera's gone nowhere fast. except for a few YouTube morons like, look, I own the most expensive Nikon camera. I was like, well, great. It means you have more money than brains, you know? It's not like I couldn't afford it. I just said it's a horrible value camera. So what the hell does the D850 have, or vice versa, the D5 have or the Nikon D850? You know, except for the insane buffer and the dual XQD cards, the Nikon D5 has nothing. Nikon D5 has the same metering system, has the same dual processor autofocus system. It also has the same autofocus sensor bay and the central lower magnesium chassis underneath the secondary reflex mirror for incredible autofocus, not only acquisition but tracking. And it's, well, obviously the vertical grip has to be separately purchased and attached, unlike other flagship Nikons, which are all integrated. This is a flagship level build quality, as a teardown confirms. Really important point, I mentioned this multiple times, but not in such an explicit fashion. The Nikon D850 obviously is a bulky beast of a camera. I mean, there's no denying that. It is rather loud, and obviously it's loud because there's not a bunch of sound dampening polycarbonate and carbon fiber in it, like basically every other Nikon that you have and I have. But this is the first camera to exist, the first one, that is an awesome epic camera for everything: portrait, landscape, photojournalism, sports, action, wildlife. Product photographers are going to be incredibly happy with this camera. Macro photographers, absolutely any and every variety of photography known to man. I don't care if you're doing crime scene photography or photojournalism, sports, action, wildlife, architecture, portraiture, landscape. This is the damn camera. It's not like, well, it's good for that. It's like, no. Other than, you know, buying for portraiture, like hardcore, really hardcore product photography, like a medium format or phase 1, which obviously is better. Other than that, those two exemptions, this is the camera. So for $3,300, this actually is a steal of a camera. Value-wise, like I said, I gave it a 10 out of 10. So this is the first camera ever where no one's going to go out and complain, you know, unless they have horrible skills and say, you know, this camera is just disappointing for wildlife. You know, I love it for portraiture and this and that, but it's disappointing for this. Or I have this camera like the D500, which is an awesome camera. Perfect for a bird photographer's dream camera. Well, it's perfect for, you know, sports, action, wildlife, but when I use it for landscape, you know, you just can't stick a wide angle or wide angle zoom on a crop sensor camera and get ideal fields of view on a DX crop sensor, nor the same for, you know, mounting an 85mm on a crop sensor camera, so it's not ideal for that by any means. I mean, this is the camera for all of that. There are a lot of advanced amateur photographers that don't need professional redundancy. Any professional working photographer needs a redundant backup due to loss, theft, drops, yada yada yada. And they only want one camera, and they basically dabble in many different varieties of photography. And they don't want to own two cameras to cover all their bases. And so this is an incredible value. All talk of third-party lens issues. By the way, yes, I've tested the Tamron 15-30 extensively on the Nikon D850. Works excellently. No vignetting corner to corner, even at 15mm at f2.8. Third-party lenses and old damn lenses. I mean lenses that are older than my parents. Work excellently. They actually work better on this damn camera than they do on the $6,500 Nikon D5. How the hell was that? How do they work better on the D850 than the D5? This camera's got peaking. I got better manual focus skills than you do. That's not an arrogant statement, it's a factual statement. You try shooting like the Nikon 85mm f1.2. I said 1.2. Or like the 50mm 1.2, or many other countless 1.4. Well, you manual focus those lenses and see how accurate you get on a regular DSLR without peaking. So this camera is better than the Nikon D5 in several areas for less than half the money. Did I mention, you know, basically 46 megapixels versus with no optical low pass filter? Hello, 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 i.e. anti-aliasing filter. Nikon D5, 20.8 megapixels with an anti-aliasing filter. So what do you get over the Nikon D850 and their flagship camera, which a bunch of these YouTube morons own just to prove that they have more money than brains. Deeper buffer and dual XQD card slots. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. That's the only thing you get there. Anyway, let me know if you have any questions of the D850. I've really exhausted every major. There have been dozens of tests, many more than dozens of tests that I've performed on the D850. Let me know if you have any questions on it. Like I said, all talk of third-party and old lenses not being so awesome on this camera is absolute BS in the extreme. You know, even the people who run Diaper Reviewer, it's like, this is BS. I just use a 50-year-old 50mm on my Nikon D850. It's wonderful. It's like, yeah, no kidding, Sherlock. I've been telling you that for weeks. Of course, they don't listen to me. What the hell would I know? I really know more about lenses than anybody else, except for some of the people that design and build them, most of which are now retired. The old dudes. Everybody now just types in parameters on a computer. That's also the reason why modern lenses suck, and the reason why the only people really are making awesome lenses are the people like Zeiss and Voigtlander, Meiroptic Görlitz. The really, really awesome old lenses had incredible character, but weren't necessarily that sharp. Yeah, the new lenses are designed solely for sharpness, and they have no character. They're pasteurized, homogenized, totally consistent pieces of cold, hard stone, heartless glass. Anyway, I think that's another discussion. So I am really happy with the Nikon D850. I'll save it for the second video. I mentioned still my favorite camera remains unchanged. I better not mention that here. That might upset somebody. Like, how could this not be your favorite camera? This camera is amazing. The most amazing thing on the D850, it wasn't amazing to me, is that I took a lot of shots and I heavily cropped them. Heavily out of the D850. I posted up the images and the fact that you could zoom way the hell in and still see every single little hair. I mean, people were, most people didn't even know the shots were heavily cropped. That says a lot. Saturation straight out of camera, absolutely exquisite of the D850. Nikon, however, is pulling some games. Of course, everybody is pissed at Nikon because, I got a D850 on order. I was the first one to order it when they came available on August the 27th or whenever the hell it was, and I didn't get one. And, well, everybody keeps emailing me. It's like, where can I get a D850? And I would answer if I knew. The answer is I have no idea. They will trickle in. Nikon is a bit of a, well, they're not a bit. They are an arrogant company. Nikon works on a different level. They should be German instead of Japanese. Their arrogance and holier-than-thou attitude reminds me of many a German company, some of which I've dealt with in the past, and they're incredibly arrogant. Like, we are Nikon. Oh, we make the best. Kiss our feet. We might sell you one of our cameras. They're the only company, actually Leica does that too. They're the only company that pulls that stuff, Nikon's begging you to buy their stuff. Canon is begging you to buy their stuff, but Nikon is like, kiss our feet and we might let you buy one of our cameras. They really are that way. That's not my opinion. I know so many people that have dealt with Nikon for more decades than me, and they all say the exact same damn thing I just said. Nikon has to stop that crappy corporate IBM and, we are perfect. IBM was like that for a long time, and then they got their ass destroyed by these other people that just did an end run around. I'm like, we're not going to put up with your crap. It's kind of like the reason why Fujifilm is totally broken out and everybody's switching to Fujifilm. Anyway, the D850 is absolutely incredible. I called it a legendary camera, and it deserves every bit of that. Fourth and only Nikon DSLR I've called legendary, whether you consider that to be important or not. Obviously you may not, but hey, at least I'm not a shill pimping these with affiliate links below my video title, because those people can't be trusted. They think everything is good. The one thing that all those people have in common is that they don't do a review on something. I just got this so-and-so, and it sucks. But, maybe you should buy one. Click my affiliate link below. They never say anything sucks. When's the last time you heard one of them say, oh, we just got done reviewing this so-and-so. It sucks. Don't even think of buying it. It's crap. None of them do that. It's like, well, they're just nicer than you are. No, they're puppets. Someone's got a hand up their butt. And that hand would be called money, 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 money. That means they're greedy. Thank you so much for watching. I may beg for donations like $1 here, $2 or there, but at least I'm freaking honest about the reviews that I do, for crying out loud. Anyway, there's my review. I've already done my review. My supplemental review on the Nikon D850. Anyway, if you have any questions, okay? Okay. I've had a lot of caffeine today. And I'm tired. Thank you. Bye. Bum, ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, 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 ba-dum.